Hi, it's Krista. So while we're on the topic of adding convenience to our kitchen, this is an idea that really blew my mind that I wanted to share with you. So we're going to do homemade turkey sausage because there are enough studies out now that are really showing that processed meats are detrimental to our health. I mean, as much as we don't want to admit it and we're in a state of denial, all of the pepperoni, sausages, even bacon, lunch meat, a lot of all the nitrates and everything that's found in those meats is really detrimental to our health. So we have to figure out ways to reduce our intake of processed meats, and this is a great idea. So Zanya first shared this recipe with me, and it absolutely blew my mind. So we are going to make sausage from ground turkey. Now you could do ground turkey, ground pork, half and half. So what I've got is 2 pounds of ground turkey in here, and ideally ground turkey with about 15% fat is ideal because you do need a little fat in here. And so this is all we're gonna do. So what I like to do is I actually am going to mix all this up, and then we're gonna turn it into patties and links, and I'm gonna show you how I package it up to freeze it. So what we do first is we've got our turkey in the bowl. Now, so this is a mixture of seasonings, including it's a teaspoon of thyme, sage, oregano, garlic powder, salt, ground pepper, 1/4 a teaspoon of cayenne, 1/4 a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And so we're gonna dump that in there. There's also rosemary in there. Then we're gonna put a few grinds of fresh pepper, just to give it more flavor. Then we're gonna add a tablespoon of oil. So this is just olive oil. And then we're gonna add, we need a little moisture in here. So we're gonna add 2/3 cup of unsweetened applesauce. And so I know you are probably thinking that this is just gonna taste like a seasoned turkey burger, and that is absolutely not true. It is actually going to taste like ground sausage. So then we're gonna use our hands and mix it up. Now, so what you can do is this is actually a great replacement for breakfast sausage. And I love keeping this in the freezer because it just makes it so much easier. You know, the cook once, eat twice, and planned over ideas. This makes it so much easier to have sausage readily available that you can just grab, quickly thaw, and throw into whatever meal you like. Now, so it's gonna be decently wet. So what we're gonna do is, once you get it all mixed up and well combined, so this is the part where you just need a few minutes to do this ahead of time. You can either make these into meatballs, you could make these into links, you could make them into patties, different size patties. So if your family likes sausage patties, obviously links, you could do little patties, big patties. What I normally like to do is I take about 1/3 cup and I make them into little hamburger patties, and I put them on parchment paper, and then I kind of fold it over and I make another patty. And I will do this until it is all gone, because then what I can do is I can actually pull about 2 of these out at a time, and that is about 1/2 pound of meat. And so then I would just layer them up and keep going. And I'm gonna put them in a freezer bag. And so you get the idea. Basically, we're just gonna keep going until I fill it up. Now, if you were to mix ground pork and ground turkey, you would do the exact same thing. Just make sure whatever meat you're buying is clean ingredients. So then I would put them in a large bag like this, and I would fill that bag and go through this entire thing. Now, so what I wanted to show you, one of the things I love to do is then we are going to turn this into a homemade pizza. There's so many things that you could do with it. I mean, you could take this and add 2 patties, brown it up like you would hamburger, and add it to your favorite spaghetti sauce. So then you don't have to mess with browning a whole pound of ground beef. You could add this to breakfast burritos. So brown it up ahead of time. You could add it to quesadillas and just even pasta with vegetables, stir fry, endless possibilities. So what we are gonna do is we're gonna make a flatbread pizza. So you can, of course, buy a whole grain pizza crust that's already pre-made. What I like to do if I buy it already pre-made is I like to stick it in the oven with a little olive oil on top and toast it before we turn it into a pizza. So at 400 degrees, toast it for about 7 minutes, just so it gets a little toasted and crispy, then add all your toppings. Now, so we absolutely love the cast iron skillet. Like, it is one of our favorite go-to things for lots and lots of meals. But one of the things you can make in a cast iron skillet is a flatbread pizza. So all we did was we took 3/4 a cup of white whole wheat flour. You could also use whole wheat pastry flour, and then a cup of water and a teaspoon of salt. And I mixed it up just like you would be making a pancake batter. And so set that aside and kind of let that sit while your oven preheats, because you're going to preheat your oven to 450 degrees. And then I took 3 tablespoons of oil in a bowl and mixed in dried rosemary, onion powder, and garlic powder. And so mix that up and actually poured that in the skillet. And then when your oven is ready, stick that in the oven and let the oil get really hot. So there's no batter in yet. And then after 3 minutes, pull that out and pour your batter in. And then the oil will kind of pool around the edges, but that's going to create like your nice brown crispy crust. And then pour your batter in and bake it for 25 to 30 minutes. And so voila, you have a homemade pizza crust. So now, this is the fun part. Now obviously the possibilities are endless with homemade pizza, but we're going to take just a nice clean pizza sauce, just whatever is your favorite, and take a couple of spoonfuls and spread it around. And your oven is still on. So once you take this out, get the sauce on, this is the part where you can put whatever you want on top. So what we did is we did a couple of things. So I took 2 onions and sliced them up, added a little bit of oil, just barely a tablespoon of oil, and sauteed those onions to caramelize them. This was about 15 minutes. So stir them frequently. And if you've never made caramelized onions, they are phenomenal. You can add them, they're awesome on hamburgers, they're awesome in quesadillas, on sandwiches, and especially on pizza. And so we're gonna add some caramelized onions. And then we're going to, so then I took 2 patties of the turkey sausage that we made, and I sauteed it until they were nice and brown, fully cooked. And so we're gonna sprinkle the sausage on. And then, you know, another great topping would be mushrooms. You can put some sliced mushrooms on there, or if you're trying to hide them from your family, then you can even chop them up really fine. But we're gonna go ahead and add all this sausage on here. Oh, there was pizza sauce. And then, okay, so we love a kick. And so if we were doing this for our kids, they would want me to only put the jalapenos on half of it. But if it was just my husband and I, then I would put the jalapenos on the whole thing. So obviously personal preference. And then some mozzarella cheese. Parmesan would also work great. And then we're gonna stick this in the oven for just about 7 to 8 minutes. And it's gonna be awesome because your pizza crust is already cooked. So now you're just trying to get it warm and melt the cheese. So 7, 8 minutes, and we'll be back with pizza. All right, so now it's been 7 minutes in the oven, and now our pizza cheese is melted. It's lightly browned on top. It's going to be perfect. So I encourage you to try making homemade turkey sausage. You know, we started with this recipe. This was kind of the basic recipe. And then we took off and did a beer bratwurst version and a chorizo version. So there's endless possibilities here on how you can flavor this up. And so we have multiple ideas on eatrealamerica.com. But I would love for you to try things like this just to make it a little easier. You're gonna be eating healthy and it's gonna be delicious. So give it a try and let us know what you think. Thank you.